at the end of this. So, Code 10 data breakdown. Can you just confirm you can see it, Brett?
Yeah, I can see it.
So this week, top 16. Analysing the decks that were in top scene, which is last week's round. 80 decks remaining. So we have 6 European teams of the top 16, 5 US, 3 Asia, 1 Brazil, and one international.
Lintops has got to be hating the fact that Brazil is still here because it's messing up this little thing here. And one Brazil.
Sorry, one second.
Team Cook's seen a hell of a team. Have pretty much done really well in every event they've taken part in. And I've got some really strong players with some really fun decks, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do this week.
Yeah, I mean, they've not got the easiest of pairings, but we'll go through that shortly. So, let's look at the metrics here. The top 16. Unsurprisingly, we see high expected amber, because we've got sort of most of the rushy deck, so it has a reasonable efficiency, high creature control, and basically no artifact control. Well, 1 artifact control card per deck, roughly. And as you say, generally, the red line, I believe, is the difference compared to the average. So you say normally we're seeing decks significantly more efficient, with significantly more recursion, and a lot more artifact control than the average, but a lot less creature control and a lot less expected amber. So this is quite a significant shift from the norm, I would say.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing more good, consistent cards rather than quick playing decks that are looking to cycle through the deck and keep going.
Yeah. So, what's next slide?
Mr. Kong, with this being the last coach, what ideas for what were floated around? Well, there was Ouroboros from Karen, but we didn't actually make this format ourselves. As I said at the beginning of Code 10, it came from the Patreons. So basically, I went to our Patreons, asked what they wanted in the event, and then we brainstormed an idea to come from there. So we had some of the Patreons saying they wanted something with multiple decks, but they didn't want to be changing that deck every single week. They wanted something with varying stats. They wanted something that had varying sets. So we basically we took everything that the Patreons wanted, because we have Patreons of all different skill tiers. Well, had sort of with the being last code, Patreons dried up, and it basically became a situation of this format came from everybody's ideas, and this came out of it being basically all the previous 9 codes formats sort of together.
Yes.
We had all sorts of ideas for future events coming up. We wanted to do a triple triad sort of thing where you had all 6 sets, but the 6th set just kept getting delayed. But hopefully Karen and the Swindle team will have some interesting thoughts moving forward.
Yep. So, I know. So, moving on to the top 16 houses.
That's no shock.
Not in the slightest. I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to say to this. My only question: why is it not in alphabetical order, or at least in order of proportions?
Yeah, that's what got me. Is it's not in order of proportions.
I mean, I would have said it's alphabetical, or at least any order. But yeah, apart from that, this is not a shock at all.
Is it? I think it might be in order of how many sets the houses have been in.
That's pretty obscure, and I wish they put. And so, children, this is why you put axes on graphs.
Oh, I mean, if that's it, then my brain is top god tier correlation of data. So I'm just looking at it, and it's.
Well, you're a trained lead. You are a trained legal clerk, man, aren't you?
Yeah. I've got a law degree. Yeah. So Vangel's been in 1, Maz has been in 2, Bromnell's been in 3, Sorin's been in 3, Starlight's been in 3, Sanction's been in 4. This has been in 4. Untamed, Logos, and Shadows have been in 5. Yeah. It's in numerical order. It's not even in numerical order based on how many sets have been in there, because Bromnell should be in front of Saurian.
And Starlights at that point, then yeah.
Well, no, all you have to do is switch Bromnar and Saurian, and then it at least makes a bit more sense.
So we will quiz Sliptops on where this order came from, because it could just be that the orders in actually the set order are on average across all the decks, and he's just changed the heights for this. But anyway, yeah, I say there's no shock here. Shadows is high. Untamed and Logos are pretty close behind it. This is slightly behind. That's pretty much only because it's not in the Unfavorables. It's not in Dark Tidings. Samson, Starlights, and Saurian are the Saurian's gone downhill a lot recently. Starlights and Xantha make sense to be fairly close. Brogna higher than Saurian. A little bit of a shock, but not a massive shock. It's a good secondary house.
I can see Saurian taking a hit because Saurian's whole thing is the manipulation of Amber, and if you, especially when you look at the lower SAS decks, if you overinvest in Exalting and then a board wipe comes in or any kind of way to get that Amber back, you have just given your opponent a lot of momentum. When you go into star events and stuff, you're only taking 1, 2, 3 decks. You're not taking 5 decks, and you're not taking 5 decks of variant power. And I can understand why Saurian wouldn't be as popular as things such as Brobnar or Star Alliance, because it is a double-edged sword with the way that the mechanics work.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, I think that takes us to the top cards as ever.
As always, Wild Wormhole, we sit at number 1.
And as you say, this is not a what's the right word? Competitive card normally because the luck involved, but it's a solid staple in lots of decks. It's a staple filler, shall we say?
At 75-80, you're not going to play it as much, but at the 60-65, you're kind of going to play it more. And
yeah,
with the low efficiency of the decks, I can imagine Wild Wormhole seeing a little bit more. But it's something that, like the years of playing card games and my own experiences, Wild Wormhole is I am more likely to pitch a Wild Wormhole if I'm winning than play it. But if I'm behind, then I'll play Wild Wormhole because it can be very powerful.
Yeah, it all comes down to the RNG, unfortunately. Then, unsurprisingly, Infernus is next. Mug is, I think, a massively underrated card.
Yeah, especially against Mass Mutation and Dark Tidings, Mug is very powerful.
Yeah, so Mug, just as I know, is take an amber from target creature and deal 2 damage to it, or take an amber, put in your own pool, and do 2 damage to that creature.
Seeing how Star Alliance is 5th most popular, the fact that Cloaking Dongle and Light the Archons has made the top 6 commons is really interesting. Cause
yeah,
they're very powerful upgrades as well.
Oh, Light the Archons is definitely, unless you're in a deck with only 1 upgrade. But apart from that, it's a very powerful upgrade. So Light the Archons is get +1/+1, so +1 armor, +1 power for each for this upgrade and each other upgrade on this creature.
And Cloaking Dongle gives the
elusive,
which is, and I think it gives the neighbours elusive as well.
Yes, it does.
Which can be really powerful when you think certain cards alive.
Yeah.
Moving to the uncommons.
No surprise here at all for any of that.
Yeah, Brenda Fanatic and Too Much Protect being top. Spike Trap's a little bit of a cop of guard, but it's still a really powerful card. And of course, you've got Mimicry. Mimicry, one of my all-time favourite cards. I used to dominate my local store with Mimicry until the library access change came in. That made me sad.
Yeah, that changed a lot. And then looking at the rares here, Plague Rats. Well, that's always going to be high if you have a Plague Rat deck. Yeah. So there's, a Fertility Chance as well.
I mean, Fertility Chance versus Infernus can be very interesting there, but the Sting. I mean, throughout my recordings, I've not seen. Although Too Much Takes really the top uncommon card, I haven't seen much too much to protect interdimensional graft going on. So I'll be interested to see how many Sting decks made it from the top 16 to the top 8, or even the top 4.
I'm guessing, maybe wrong here, 6 decks did. Oh, so how many went from top 16 to top 8? Sorry, misunderstood, yeah.
How
So,
many made it from the top 16 to the top 8?
We'll find out next week, probably. So, let's move on to the quiz.
Yes. Now, didn't you say last week you'd be giving away a playmat to the winner of this quiz?
Yes, I did. It will be a signed playmat. I could probably go and grab it, actually. It's about 15 foot behind me.
Let me just go into community promotion and do an everyone's hat.
Mr. Kong, if you win the mat, you will be politely asked to donate it to the person, another entry of the quiz. If you say no, you will get 2 mats. If you say yes, you'll get one mat and my thanks. I hope that's okay. One sec.